The alarm bells rang through the space station above Kepler 442b. Admiral Kate Morrison ran to the command center as fast as she could. Her boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. Something big was happening. "What do we have, Jake?" she asked the second officer, Commander Jake Sullivan. He was staring at the big screen with wide eyes. We have visitors. Big ones." Jake pointed at the screen. 12 ships just came out of nowhere. They're huge, much bigger than anything we have. Kate looked at the screen and felt her heart beat faster. The alien ships were beautiful but scary. They looked like giant metal birds with sharp edges and glowing lights. Each ship was 3 times bigger than their biggest human ship. "Are they talking to us?" Kate asked. "Not yet, but they're scanning everything. Our ships, the planet, even the space station. It's like they're studying us." Kate had been in space for 20 years. She had seen many strange things, but never aliens. No human had ever met real aliens before. This was the first time in human history. "Get me Earth Command right away," she said. "And tell all our ships to stay calm. Don't do anything that looks like an attack." The alien ships moved closer. They were so big that they blocked out some of the stars. Kate could see weapons on the ships. Lots of weapons. If these aliens wanted to fight, humans would lose badly. Then the communication system made a sound. Someone was trying to talk to them. "Admiral, we're getting a message," Jake said. His voice was shaking a little. "Put it on the main screen." The screen changed. Now Kate was looking at an alien face. It was a female face, but not human. The alien had red skin and 4 arms. She was very tall and had scars on her face and arms. Her eyes were bright yellow and looked very serious. "I am War Matron Zarathex of the Valkyrian Empire," the alien said. Her voice was deep and strong. "I speak for the warrior fleet that guards this sector of space." Kate stepped forward. "I'm Admiral Kate Morrison of the Human Defense Fleet. Welcome to our system." The alien woman did not smile. "Your welcome means nothing, small human. We did not come here to be friends. We came here because your kind is spreading through space like a disease." Kate felt angry, but she kept her voice calm. "We're explorers and colonists. We're not hurting anyone." "All species say this," Zarathex said. "All species think they are peaceful. But space belongs to the strong. For 3,000 years, the Valkyrian Empire has kept order in this part of the galaxy. We decide who can live here." Another alien appeared next to Zarathex. This one was younger but looked just as dangerous. She had the same red skin and 4 arms. "This is my battle leader, Kexandra," Zarathex said. "She thinks your species is too weak to deserve space. I am not sure she is wrong." Kate felt her crew getting nervous behind her. These aliens were not here to make friends. They were here to judge humans, and humans might fail their test. "What do you want from us?" Kate asked. "Your species must prove it deserves to live in our space," Zarathex said. "This is our law. This is our way. You will send your greatest warriors to fight our greatest warriors. If you win, you may stay. If you lose, you will leave this sector forever or serve the Valkyrian Empire." "And if we refuse?" Kate asked. Zarathex smiled, but it was not a nice smile. "Then we will remove you ourselves. But that would bring no honor to anyone. Combat trials are better. They show the truth about a species." Jake stepped up next to Kate. "How many fights? What are the rules?" 4 trials, Kexandra said. 4 of your warriors against 4 of ours. Single combat. The winners decide the fate of your species." Kate's mind was racing. She needed time to think. She needed to talk to Earth Command. She needed to find their best fighters. "We need time to prepare," she said. "You have 3 of your days," Zarathex said. "Choose your warriors well, small humans. Choose those who know honor and strength. Do not disappoint us with weaklings." The screen went black. The alien ship stayed where they were, waiting. Kate turned to her crew. Everyone was looking at her, waiting for orders. The fate of all humans was now in her hands. "Get me every military commander in human space," she said. "We need our best soldiers, our strongest fighters, our most skilled warriors. We have 72 hours to save our species." But as the messages went out across human space, something strange started to happen. The first people to volunteer were not who anyone expected. They were not soldiers at all. The message went out to every human world and space station. Earth Command needed the best fighters humanity had. They needed soldiers who could win against alien warriors. They needed heroes who could save the human race. Admiral Kate Morrison expected call from the Space Marines. She expected the Special Forces to volunteer first. She expected the enhanced soldiers and the combat pilots to step forward. Instead, the first call came from Dr. Lisa Park. "I want to volunteer for the combat trials," Dr. Park said. She was calling from the Children's Hospital on New Sol Colony. Behind her, Kate could see sick children in hospital beds. "Doctor, I think you misunderstood," Kate said. "We need fighters, not doctors." "I am a fighter," Dr. Park said. Her voice was calm but serious. "I fight death every day. I fight disease. I fight pain. I save lives when everyone else has given up. If that's not fighting, what is?" Jake Sullivan looked at Kate with confusion. She's a doctor, not a warrior." But Dr. Park heard him. "Commander Sullivan, how many life or death situations have you been in? How many times have you had to make a decision in 10 seconds that saves or loses a life? I do that every day. I've been doing it for 15 years. Kate started to say no, but Dr. Park kept talking. "These aliens think humans are weak because they don't understand us. They think strength only comes from muscles and weapons. But I've seen human strength. I've seen a mother stay awake for 3 days straight to care for her sick child. I've seen a father give up his own medicine so his daughter could live. That's human strength." Before Kate could answer, another call came in. This one was from Mars Colony. "This is Tony Rodriguez," the man said. He was wearing work clothes and had dirt on his hands. "I heard about the alien challenge. I want to help." "Sir, we need trained soldiers," Kate said. "I build cities on dead planets," Tony said. "I work in places where the air will kill you and the ground will freeze you solid. My job is to keep people alive in places where nothing should live. I've lost crew members to equipment failures, radiation storms, and building collapses. Every day I go to work knowing that one mistake kills everyone on my team." Tony wiped his hands on a cloth. "These aliens want to fight? Fine. But they don't know what it means to build something. They only know how to destroy. Maybe it's time they learn the difference." Jake looked at Kate. This is crazy. We can't send civilians to fight alien warriors." But the calls kept coming. Maya Singh called from the education ship New Horizon. She was a teacher who worked with children from war zones. Children who had seen their families killed. Children who had lost everything. "I've been stopping fights for 6 years," Maya said. "Not with weapons. With words. With understanding. These alien warriors think they know about fighting. I deal with angry, scared, hurt people every day. I help them find peace. Maybe that's what we need here." Then came the call that surprised everyone the most. Professor Henry Clark was 6 to 7 years old. He taught history at the University on Earth. He had never held a weapon in his life. His hands were soft from years of holding books, not swords. "I want to volunteer," he said. Kate almost laughed. "Professor, with respect, you're not exactly warrior material." "Admiral, I've studied every warrior culture in human history," Professor Clark said. "I know why people fight. I know what makes warriors strong and what makes them weak. These aliens have their own warrior culture. If we're going to beat them, we need to understand them first." The old man adjusted his glasses. "Besides, sometimes the best way to win a fight is to not fight at all." More calls came in over the next few hours. A nurse from the outer colonies, a farmer who had defended his land from raiders, a mother who had raised 5 children alone, an engineer who kept space stations running when everything went wrong. None of them were soldiers. None of them had military training. But all of them had something else. Jake pulled Kate aside. "We can't seriously consider this. These people will get killed." Kate looked at the list of volunteers. She thought about what each of them had said. They all had different jobs, but they all had the same thing. They all knew how to protect people. They all knew how to solve problems. They all knew how to keep going when things got bad. Jake, what if they're right? Kate said, what if we're thinking about this all wrong? What if the aliens expect us to send soldiers because that's what they would do? What if our strength isn't what they think it is? Jake shook his head. This is insane. Maybe, Kate said, but maybe that's exactly what we need. Maybe we need to show these aliens what humans really are. She made her decision. Get me Dr. Park, Tony Rodriguez, Maya Singh, and Professor Clark. Tell them they're our champions. But, that's an order, Jake. We're going to show these Valkyrian warriors something they've never seen before. We're going to show them what it really means to be human. High above the planet, on the alien ships, War Matron Zarethex watched the human communications. She saw the list of human champions and laughed. They send us a doctor, a builder, a teacher, and an old man, she said to Kexandra. This will be even easier than we thought. But Kexandra was not laughing. Something about the human choices bothered her. Warriors she could understand. But these humans were something else. Something she had never faced before. Prepare the arena, Zarethex ordered. Let us see what these weak humans think they can do against true warriors. The arena was the most amazing thing Dr. Lisa Park had ever seen. It was built on the dead moon of Zirion Prime, a gray world with no air and no life. But the Valkyrians had turned it into something incredible. The fighting ground was huge, bigger than 10 football fields. The walls were made of some kind of metal that glowed with soft blue light. Above them, a clear dome kept the air inside so people could breathe. Around the arena, thousands of seats were filled with Valkyrian warriors who had come to watch the trials. Dr. Park stood at one end of the arena. Her hands were shaking a little, but not from fear. She was excited. This was just like the emergency room, but bigger. At the other end stood her opponent. Veltara was 7 feet tall with bright red skin and 4 powerful arms. Scars covered her body from head to toe. Each scar was a story of a battle she had won. She had never lost a fight in her life. Look at the tiny human, Veltara called out. Her voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. She looks like she has never seen blood. This will be over quickly. The Valkyrian crowd laughed and cheered. They were excited to see their champion destroy the weak human doctor. War Matron Zarethex stood up in the royal box. The trial begins now. Choose your weapons. A platform rose from the arena floor. On it were hundreds of weapons from across the galaxy. Swords that could cut through steel. Guns that shot pure energy. Shields that could stop any attack. Armor that made the wearer almost impossible to hurt. Veltara walked to the platform like she owned it. She picked up a plasma sword that hummed with deadly energy. Then she chose a force shield that glowed with protective power. The crowd cheered louder. Dr. Park looked at all the weapons. She had never used any of them. She did not even know how most of them worked. But then she saw something else on the platform. Something that made her smile. She picked up a medical kit. Then she took a surgical laser, the kind used for delicate operations. Finally, she grabbed a container of medical nanobots, tiny robots that doctors use to heal wounds. The crowd stopped cheering. They looked confused. How could medical tools be weapons? Is a human making a joke? Kexandra asked Zarethex. I think she has gone crazy from fear, Zarethex replied. This will be even easier than we thought. But Professor Clark, watching from the human section, was not worried. He had studied Dr. Park's background. He knew something the aliens did not know. The trial began. Veltara charged across the arena with her sword raised high. She moved fast, faster than any human could run. Her plan was simple: cut down the small human before she could even move. But Dr. Park did not run. She opened her medical kit and pulled out a small device. As Veltara got close, Dr. Park threw a device at her feet. The device exploded in a cloud of medical nanobots. These tiny robots were designed to find wounds and heal them. But when they touched Veltara's alien skin, something unexpected happened. Valkyrians had 4 hearts, not one like humans. The nanobots thought the alien 4-heart system was damaged. They tried to fix it by slowing down 2 of the hearts. Veltara suddenly felt dizzy and weak. 2 of her 4 arms stopped working properly. What did you do to me? Veltara shouted. I gave you medical treatment, Dr. Park said calmly. The nanobots are trying to help you. They think you're sick. Veltara swung her sword, but she was slow now. Dr. Park easily stepped away from the attack. Then she used her surgical laser. The laser was meant for cutting through skin and bone during operations. It was very precise and very careful. Dr. Park did not try to hurt Veltara. Instead, she used the laser to hit specific points on the alien body. Dr. Park had studied alien biology during the trip to the arena. She knew where Valkyrian nerve clusters were located. She knew which spots would cause temporary paralysis without causing real harm. The laser beam hit Veltara's left shoulder. That arm went completely numb. Another beam hit her leg. She fell to one knee. "This is impossible," Veltara said. "You are not fighting like a warrior." "You're right," Dr. Park said. "I'm not fighting at all. I'm just doing my job." She opened another part of her medical kit. Inside were surgical tools that she had used thousands of times. In her hands, they became something new. Dr. Park moved around Veltara like she was performing surgery. She was calm and focused. Every move had a purpose. Every action was precise. She used pressure point techniques that she had learned from treating patients in pain. She used her knowledge of biology to predict what Veltara would do next. Most importantly, she stayed calm while her opponent got more and more frustrated. Veltara tried to attack again and again, but each time, Dr. Park was ready. She used her medical knowledge to counter every move. She turned healing tools into defensive weapons. She used her understanding of anatomy to stay one step ahead. The crowd had stopped cheering. They were watching something they had never seen before. A human who won fights by refusing to fight. Finally, Veltara collapsed. She was not hurt, just exhausted and confused. The nanobots had made her dizzy. The laser strikes had made her arms and legs numb. She could not stand up anymore. Dr. Park knelt down next to her fallen opponent. She checked Veltara's pulse and looked at her eyes. "You'll be fine in about an hour," she said kindly. "The nanobots will stop working soon, and the numbness will go away. You're not injured at all." Veltara looked up at the human doctor with confusion and something else. "Respect." "How?" she asked. Dr. Park helped her sit up. "I've spent 15 years learning how to fix people when they are broken. Today I learned that the same knowledge can be used to stop people without breaking them." The arena was completely silent. War Matron Zarethek stood up slowly. "The human wins," she announced. Her voice sounded shocked. The crowd did not cheer. They did not boo. They just stayed. They had never seen anything like this before. Dr. Park helped Veltara stand up. The alien warrior looked at her with new eyes. "You are not what I expected, small human," Veltara said. "Neither are you," Dr. Park replied with a smile. "But I think that's going to make this interesting." Tony Rodriguez stood in the middle of the arena and looked around. The fighting ground had changed completely since Dr. Park's trial. Now it looked like a small city with tall buildings, narrow streets, and open squares. The Valkyrians had built this place to test warriors who fought in cities. His opponent was the biggest alien Tony had ever seen. Corthule was 8 feet tall and had muscles that looked like they were made of steel. She had fought in 17 different wars on 17 different planets. Her specialty was breaking cities and everything in them. "So you are the human builder," Corthule said. Her voice was deep and rough. "I have destroyed 100 cities. I will enjoy breaking you too." The Valkyrian crowd was excited again. After Dr. Park's strange victory, they wanted to see a real fight. They wanted to see their warrior crush the small human with her bare hands. Tony looked at Corthule and was not scared. He had worked with difficult people before. Construction sites were full of people who thought they were tougher than everyone else. The difference was that Corthule could actually kill him. "Choose your weapons," announced War Matron Zarethek. The weapons platform rose again. This time it was covered with tools of destruction. Bombs that could level buildings. Plasma cannons that could melt steel. Rocket launchers that could punch through walls. Every weapon was designed to break things. Corthule walked to the platform like she was shopping for groceries. She picked up a demolition charge that could blow a hole through solid rock. Then she chose a plasma hammer that could smash through any wall. Finally, she grabbed a portable cannon that shot explosive shells. The crowd cheered. These were proper weapons for a proper warrior. Tony looked at the same platform. He saw all the weapons of destruction, but they were not what he needed. Then he spotted something else. In one corner of the platform were construction tools. He picked up a plasma welder, the kind used to join metal beams together. Then he chose a portable materials printer that could make building supplies. He grabbed a case of emergency construction foam and a bag of smart steel supports. The Valkyrians looked confused again. How could building tools fight destruction tools? The human has lost his mind, Kexandra said to Zarathex. Those are not weapons. We shall see, Zarathex replied. But she was beginning to wonder if humans were stranger than she had thought. The trial began with a loud explosion. Korthul fired a cannon at the building where Tony was standing. The shell blew a huge hole in the wall. Pieces of concrete and metal flew everywhere. The crowd cheered as dust filled the air. But when the dust cleared, Tony was still there. The hole in the wall was already getting smaller. Tony had sprayed construction foam into the gap, and the foam was hardening into solid rock. Impossible! Korthul shouted. She fired again. This time Tony was ready. As the shell flew toward him, he used his plasma welder to cut a support beam. The beam fell down and hit the shell, making it explode early. The blast damaged the building, but Tony was safe behind a wall. Korthul charged toward him with her plasma hammer. She smashed through the wall like it was made of paper. But Tony was not behind the wall anymore. He had used his materials printer to create a tunnel through the floor. Now he was in the building's basement. Fight me like a warrior, Korthul yelled. She started smashing everything around her, trying to bring down the whole building. But every wall she broke, Tony fixed. Every hole she made, he filled. He used his construction foam to make the building stronger, not weaker. He used his smart steel supports to reinforce walls before she could break them. The crowd was getting confused. They were watching a fight where one person destroyed and the other person built. They had never seen anything like this. Tony's real plan became clear as the fight continued. He was not trying to hurt Korthul. He was trying to trap her. Every time she broke something, Tony was there to fix it in a new way. He changed the shape of the building. He moved walls and doors. He created new paths and blocked old ones. Korthul was strong and fast, but Tony knew buildings better than anyone. He had built cities on 3 different worlds. He knew how structures worked. He knew how they could be changed. Slowly, carefully, Tony led Korthul deeper into the building. She was so focused on destruction that she did not notice what he was doing. Every room she smashed, every wall she broke, Tony was changing the building around her. Finally, Tony's trap was ready. Korthul raised a plasma hammer to smash through another wall. But when she brought it down, the wall did not break. Instead, Tony's smart steel supports absorbed the impact and spread it through the whole building. The building shook, but not from damage. Tony had turned the entire structure into one giant machine. When Korthul hit the wall, she triggered a controlled collapse that Tony had planned. Walls folded inward. Floors tilted and slid. Support beams moved into new positions. In less than 10 seconds, Korthul was trapped under a pile of debris that held her tight but did not hurt her. She could not move, but she could breathe. She was completely stuck, but completely safe. Tony climbed through the rubble to where Korthul was trapped. He started digging her out with his tools. "You could have killed me," Korthul said. She sounded confused. "That would have been a waste," Tony replied. He pulled away another piece of debris. "Good workers are hard to find, even alien ones." "I do not understand." "You won, but you are helping me." Tony stopped digging and looked at her. "Where I come from, when someone gets hurt on a construction site, everyone helps. It does not matter if you like them or not. It does not matter if they were being stupid. You help because that is what you do." He went back to digging. "Besides, you are a good fighter. You just need to learn the difference between breaking things and building things." Korthul was quiet for a moment. "No one has ever trapped me before. How did you do it?" Tony smiled. "You were fighting the building. I was working with it. Buildings want to stand up. If you understand that, you can make them do amazing things." When Korthul was free, she stood up and brushed dust off her armor. She looked at the building around them. Tony had turned it into something completely different from what it was before. "You changed everything," she said with wonder in her voice. That is what builders do, Tony said. We take what exists and make it better. War Matron Zarathex announced the winner, but her voice was troubled. 2 human victories, and neither one made sense to her. In the crowd, the Valkyrian warriors were talking quietly among themselves. They were beginning to realize that these humans were not like any enemy they had ever faced. They were something entirely new. Maya Singh walked into the arena feeling calm. She had been in difficult situations before. Angry parents at school meetings, scared children who had lost their families, teenagers who thought violence was the only answer to their problems. This was just another day at work for her. Her opponent was different from the others. Hexandra was young for a Valkyrian warrior, maybe the same age as some of Maya's older students. She was War Matron Zarathex's own daughter and wanted to prove herself by defeating the human teacher. I will not be as easy as the others, Hexandra said. She stood tall and proud, but Maya could see something else in her eyes. Fear. The young warrior was scared that she might lose like the others had lost. I do not expect you to be easy, Maya replied kindly. The best students never are. Hexandra's face turned red with anger. I am not your student, human. I am a warrior of the Valkyrian Empire. Maya smiled the same way she smiled at angry teenagers. Of course you are. I did not mean to insult you. The arena had changed again. Now it looked like an empty space with smooth floors and plain walls. There were no buildings to hide behind, no weapons scattered around. This was a place for simple combat between 2 fighters. War Matron Zarthek stood up in the royal box. She looked worried. Her daughter had to win this fight. The Valkyrian Empire's honor depended on it. Choose your weapons, she called out. The platform rose with its display of deadly tools. Hexandra walked to it with confidence. She chose a pair of energy blades that glowed with bright blue light. Then she picked up a personal shield generator that would protect her from most attacks. The crowd cheered. Finally, a Valkyrian warrior had chosen proper weapons for proper combat. Maya looked at the weapons platform. She saw all the swords and guns and shields. But she was not interested in any of them. Instead, she walked to a different part of the platform. She picked up a small holographic projector, the kind teachers used to show pictures to their classes. Then she chose a data tablet loaded with human history files. Finally, she grabbed something that made the crowd laugh, a simple headset that looked like a learning device. What is she doing? Hexandra asked Zarathex. Those are not weapons at all. I think the human teacher has given up, Zarathex said. But deep down, she was not sure anymore. The trial began with Hexandra charging forward with her energy blades. She was fast and skilled, trained from childhood to be a perfect warrior. She planned to end this fight quickly and bring honor to her family. But Maya did not run. She activated her holographic projector, and suddenly the arena was filled with images, pictures of Earth, of human children, of families working together. The images moved and changed, showing the story of human civilization. Hexandra tried to ignore the pictures, but they were everywhere. As she swung her blades at Maya, she saw images of humans helping each other, humans building cities together, humans caring for their sick and wounded. What are you trying to do? Hexandra shouted. She kept attacking, but Maya was always one step ahead, moving calmly through the arena. I am showing you who we are, Maya said simply. She touched the data tablet, and the images changed. Now they showed human children playing together. Children from different worlds, different families, all laughing and learning together. Hexandra had never seen anything like it. In Valkyrian society, children were trained to fight from the moment they could walk. They did not play games. They prepared for war. Your children are weak, Hexandra said, but her voice was not as confident as before. Are they? Maya asked. She showed more images. Human children helping their parents. Children taking care of younger children. Children learning to read and write and build and heal. The holographic images surrounded both fighters. Hexandra found herself looking at them even as she tried to attack Maya. She saw something in the human children's faces that she had never seen in Valkyrian children. They looked happy. Maya's real weapon was not the hologram projector. It was her voice. As she moved through the arena, she talked to Hexandra like she talked to all her students. She was patient and kind, but also firm. Tell me about your childhood, Maya said as she stepped away from another attack. What did you enjoy doing when you were small? I trained, Hexander said. I learned to fight. I learned to be strong. But what did you enjoy? Maya asked again. What made you happy? Hexander stopped attacking for a moment. No one had ever asked her that question before. I do not understand. Maya changed the holographic images again. Now they showed human families. Parents and children together, not training for war, but just being together, talking and laughing and sharing meals. This is what human children grow up with, Maya said. Love, safety, the freedom to make mistakes and learn from them. Hexander stared at the images. She saw human parents hugging their children. She saw families playing games together. She saw children who were not afraid of making their parents angry. Your parents do not prepare you for battle. Hexander asked. Some do, Maya said, but most prepare us for life. They teach us to be kind and helpful and curious about the world. Maya saw her chance. She moved quickly and placed a learning headset on Hexander's head before the young warrior could stop her. The headset was designed to help students understand different points of view. It created shared experiences that let people feel what others felt. Maya had used it many times to help angry students understand why their actions hurt other people. Suddenly, Hexander was experiencing human emotions directly. She felt what it was like to be a small child who was scared and needed comfort. She felt what it was like to be a parent who would do anything to protect their children. She felt what it was like to be a teacher who cared about every single student. Most importantly, she felt what it was like to be loved just for being herself, not for being strong or brave or perfect. Hexander fell to her knees. Tears were running down her face. She had never cried before in her life. What is happening to me? She asked. Maya knelt down beside her and gently removed the headset. You are feeling what it means to be human, she said softly. It hurts, Hexander whispered. Yes, Maya said. Sometimes it does. But it also feels wonderful, does it not? Hexander looked up at Maya with wonder in her eyes. How do you bear it? How do you feel so much pain and still choose to help others? Maya helped Hexander stand up. Because when you share pain, it becomes smaller. And when you share joy, it becomes bigger. That is what makes us human. The arena was completely silent. The Valkyrian crowd did not understand what they had just seen. Their greatest warrior's daughter was crying, and the human teacher was comforting her like a mother. War matron Zarathek stood frozen in her royal box. She did not know how to declare a winner. Her daughter had not been defeated in battle. She had been changed by something much more powerful than any weapon. Hexander looked at Maya with new eyes. I do not want to fight anymore, she said quietly. Then do not fight, Maya replied. There are other ways to be strong. Professor Henry Clark walked into the arena slowly. His old legs were not as strong as they used to be, and he needed his walking stick to help him move. At 6 to 7 years old, he looked tiny and weak compared to the massive alien warriors around him. His opponent was War Matron Zarathek herself. She was the most powerful Valkyrian alive, the ruler of 3 star systems and the commander of 1,000 warships. She had decided to fight the final trial personally because she could not understand what was happening to her people. So you are the last human champion, Zarathek said. Her voice echoed through the arena. An old man with soft hands and weak eyes. This insult ends here. Professor Clark looked up at the towering alien leader and smiled. Good evening, War Matron. I have been looking forward to meeting you. I have studied your people for many years. You know nothing about us, Zarathek snapped. You are a weak creature from a weak species. I will end this foolishness quickly. The arena had changed one final time. Now it looked like an ancient temple with tall pillars and stone floors. This was a place of honor, where the most important battles in Valkyrian history had been fought. Thousands of Valkyrian warriors filled the seats around the arena. They had come from across the Empire to watch their leader crush the final human. But many of them looked confused and worried. The first 3 trials had not gone as expected. Choose your weapons, Zarathek called out, though the words were meant for the crowd. Everyone knew this trial would be different. The weapons platform rose for the last time. On it were the most ancient and powerful weapons in the Valkyrian Empire. the blades of conquest, swords that had been carried by Valkyrian leaders for over 1,000 years, the armor of victory, which had never been pierced by any weapon, the shield of honor, which could protect against any attack. Zarathex walked to the platform like she was walking to her throne. She picked up the blades of conquest, one in each of her 4 hands. The weapons hummed with ancient power. The crowd cheered louder than they had for any previous trial. Professor Clark walked to the platform much more slowly. He looked at all the magnificent weapons, but he did not touch any of them. Instead, he walked to a small table at the side of the platform. On the table were books. Old books, new books, books written in dozens of different languages. Professor Clark picked up a few of them and tucked them under his arm. Then he chose a small device that could read and translate any written language. The crowd fell silent. What could an old man do with books against a warrior with ancient swords? "This is not a joke," Zarathex said angrily. "Choose real weapons, or I will cut you down where you stand." "These are real weapons," Professor Clark said calmly. "They are the most powerful weapons humans have ever created." The trial began with Zarathex charging across the arena. She moved like liquid lightning, her 4 blades singing through the air. She planned to end this quickly and restore honor to her empire. But Professor Clark did not run. He opened one of his books and began to read aloud. "In the year 2847 of the Valkyrian calendar," he said in a clear, strong voice, "the Great Plague came to the world of Zephyria Prime. It killed 1 out of every 3 Valkyrians, but it killed 9 out of every 10 males." Zarathex stopped running. How did this human know about the Great Plague? That was ancient history, from before the Valkyrian Empire even existed. The surviving women had to become warriors, Professor Clark continued, still reading from his book. Not because they wanted to conquer other worlds, but because they had to protect their children from raiders and monsters. "How do you know this?" Zarathex demanded. "These are our most sacred histories." Professor Clark looked up from his book. "Because I am a scholar, war matron. I study the stories that people tell about themselves. And your people's story is one of the most beautiful I have ever heard." He opened another book. "This one tells about the song of mourning that became your battle cry. It was written by a mother who lost her husband and sons to the plague. She sang it while she learned to fight, so she could protect her daughters." Zarathex lowered her swords. She knew that song. Every Valkyrian knew it, but she had never known where it came from. Professor Clark opened a 3rd book. This one was different. It was very old and written in a language that looked familiar to Zarathex, but she could not quite understand it. "This is from my world," Professor Clark said. "It tells the story of the Valkyries, warrior women from ancient Earth. They were said to choose which warriors could enter the halls of the honored dead." He smiled at Zarathex. "When we first heard your people's name, we thought it was a wonderful coincidence. 2 different worlds, separated by thousands of years and millions of miles, both telling stories about noble warrior women." Zarathex stared at the old book. "You have stories about warriors like us." "We have stories about warriors like you used to be," Professor Clark said gently. "Warriors who fought to protect, not to conquer. Warriors who sang songs of mourning for the dead, not songs of victory over the defeated." He walked closer to Zarathex, moving slowly so she would not think he was attacking. "War matron, may I ask you a question? When did your people stop mourning their dead and start celebrating their victories?" The question hit Zarathex like a physical blow. She could not remember. Somewhere in the long centuries of conquest, the songs had changed. The reason for fighting had changed. The Valkyrians had become so good at war that they had forgotten why they started fighting in the first place. "We fight because we are strong," she said, but her voice was not as certain as before. "You fight because you are afraid," Professor Clark said kindly. "You are afraid that if you stop fighting, you will lose everything you have built. But, war matron, what have you built? What do you have besides your weapons and your victories?" Zarathex looked around the arena. She saw thousands of warriors who knew only how to fight. She saw an empire built on conquest and fear. She saw a people who had forgotten how to be anything except soldiers. "We have strength," she said weakly. "Yes, you do," Professor Clark agreed. "But strength for what? What are you protecting now? What are you building? What songs will your children sing about you when you are gone?" He opened the last book. It was new and thin, written in simple language that even a child could understand. "This is a book of human children's stories," he said. "Stories about heroes who save people, not heroes who conquer them. Stories about warriors who fight monsters, not warriors who become monsters." Professor Clark held out the book to Zarathex. "Your people were heroes once. They saved their children from plague and death. They built an empire to protect the weak. But somewhere along the way, they forgot that the greatest victory is not defeating your enemies. It is turning your enemies into friends." The great hall of the Valkyrian flagship was filled with warriors from both species. Admiral Kate Morrison sat at a long table across from War Matron Zarathex. Between them were the 4 human champions who had changed everything. 3 days had passed since the trials ended. 3 days of talking, thinking, and planning. The Valkyrian Empire was about to make the biggest change in its history. "The Council has made its decision," Zarathex announced to the crowded hall. Her voice was different now, softer but somehow stronger. "The combat trials are over. The humans have won." The Valkyrian warriors in the hall were quiet. Some looked angry, others looked confused, but many looked relieved. The trials had shown them things they had never seen before. "But this is not about winning or losing," Zarathex continued. "This is about remembering who we are supposed to be." She stood up and walked to the center of the hall. "For too long, we have forgotten our true purpose. We became conquerors when we should have remained protectors. We became destroyers when we should have stayed builders." Kexandra, her lieutenant, stepped forward. "War Matron, what are you saying?" "I am saying that these humans have shown us the truth about strength," Zarathex replied. "Real strength is not about defeating others. It is about helping others. It is about building instead of breaking. It is about understanding instead of conquering." Dr. Lisa Park stood up from the human side of the table. "War Matron, may I say something?" Zarathex nodded. "Please, Dr. Park, you have earned the right to speak." "We did not come here to defeat you," Dr. Park said. "We came here to show you that there are many ways to be strong. You have incredible warriors. We have healers and builders and teachers and scholars. Together, we could be stronger than either of us alone." Tony Rodriguez stood up next. "I have been talking with your engineers. They know how to build warships that can travel between stars. We know how to build cities that can survive on dead planets. If we work together, we could build things that neither of us could build alone." Maya Singh rose from her chair. "And I have been talking with your young warriors. They are brave and strong, but they are also curious and kind. They want to learn about the galaxy, not just conquer it. We could teach each other so much." Finally, Professor Clark stood up slowly. "War Matron, you asked me to teach you how to be heroes again, but I think you can teach us just as much. You know how to be brave when everything seems hopeless. You know how to protect the people you love. Those are lessons that humans need to learn too." Zarathex looked around the hall at her warriors. She saw Veltara, who had been defeated by a doctor but was now learning about human medicine. She saw Corthuel, who had been trapped by a builder but was now designing new cities with him. She saw her own daughter, Hexandra, who had been chained by a teacher and was now helping other young Valkyrians understand their emotions. "My people," Zarathex said, "for 3,000 years we have been warriors. We will always be warriors. But we will be warriors who protect, not warriors who conquer. We will be warriors who build, not warriors who destroy." She turned to Admiral Morrison. "Admiral, the Valkyrian Empire offers humanity an alliance, not as subjects, but as partners, not as enemies, but as friends." Admiral Morrison stood up. "On behalf of humanity, I accept your offer, but I have one condition." The whole became very quiet. What condition could the humans demand? "We want to share everything," Admiral Morrison said. "Our knowledge, our technology, our stories, our dreams. We want to explore the galaxy together. We want to meet new species together. And when we find people who need help, we want to help them together." Zarathex smiled. It was the first time many of her warriors had seen her smile in years. "Admiral Morrison, you have just described what the Valkyrian Empire was always supposed to be." Commander Jake Sullivan stepped forward. We are getting reports from across human space. Other alien species have been watching the trials. They want to know if they can join this alliance too. The more the better, Tony Rodriguez said with a laugh. I always said the best construction crews have workers from different backgrounds. Maya Singh nodded. Every classroom is better when it has students from different cultures. They all have something to teach each other. Professor Clark adjusted his glasses. And every story is richer when it includes voices from many different people. Dr. Park looked around the hall at humans and Valkyrians sitting together, talking together, planning together. This is what healing looks like, she said. Not just fixing what is broken, but making it stronger than it was before. 6 months later, the first joint human Valkyrian colony was established on a world called New Harmony. The city was designed by Tony Rodriguez and Corthule working together. The hospital was run by Dr. Park and Veltara. The school was taught by Maya Singh and young Valkyrian warriors who wanted to learn about peace as well as war. The library was Professor Clark's idea. It contained books and stories from both species, and from every other species they met. It was a place where anyone could come to learn about the galaxy and their place in it. Admiral Morrison and War Matron Zarathex established the first galactic protection fleet. It was not designed to conquer worlds, but to protect them. When pirates attacked trading ships, the fleet was there to help. When natural disasters struck planets, the fleet brought aid and support. When new species asked for help exploring space, the fleet provided guides and teachers. Commander Sullivan and Kexandra became the first mixed-species patrol team. They traveled to distant worlds, not as conquerors, but as friends. They helped settle disputes between species. They brought news and supplies to isolated colonies. They showed the galaxy that former enemies could become the strongest allies. But the most important change happened in the hearts and minds of both species. Humans learned that strength and courage were not weaknesses to be feared, but gifts to be shared. Valkyrians learned that gentleness and wisdom were not signs of weakness, but sources of true power. The combat trials had ended, but the real victory was just beginning. It was not the victory of one species over another. It was a victory of understanding over fear, of cooperation over conquest, of hope over despair. And across the galaxy, other species began to hear the story of the humans and Valkyrians. They heard about the doctor who healed her enemy, the builder who trapped his opponent with kindness, the teacher who showed a warrior how to feel, and the scholar who reminded a conqueror how to be a hero. They heard about the alien warrior women who challenged humans to combat, and how humans surprised them with something better than victory. They surprised them with friendship. The galaxy would never be the same.